Total question, Lord Moylan.
My Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing my name on the order paper.
The Government welcomes Siemens' investment in Goole, creating a rail facility that will support up to 700 jobs and many more in the supply chain. This has been possible thanks to government funding. Transport in London is devolved to the Mayor of London and Transport for London. It is for them to make investment decisions. Government continues to engage with them to understand their capital funding needs. Any further government investment will be considered through the spending review.
My Lords, I congratulate the Government on making progress with this project, which started under the former Mayor Boris Johnson. And it's the case that a full modernisation and upgrade of the Piccadilly line would improve capacity by 60% if that included modernising the antiquated signalling. These trains contribute only a sixth of that. Would my noble friend, would the noble Baroness, the Minister, agree that this shows that it's very often the case that you get better returns from investing in improving existing assets than from investing in something new? And would the Government be willing to review and publish criteria for rail investment which prioritised investment that contributed most to economic growth?
I thank the noble lord for his supplementary, and as he is well aware, there are ongoing discussions with Transport for London, as indeed with all of the regional authorities around the country, about their long-term funding needs. And of course, this will be subject to the spending review, and we look forward very much to hearing the outcomes of that. And of course, I will be more than happy to continue the fruitful conversations with the member opposite.
Lords. My Lords, whilst this announcement is welcome for the Piccadilly line, the Bakerloo line has the oldest trains. What discussions has the Government had with Transport for London, the GLA and the boroughs about new rolling stock and extending the Bakerloo line to Lewisham?
Can I thank the noble lady, I think, for her first question in this House, and her experience in the London Assembly will be very welcome to the debates going forward. Of course, the Bakerloo line is one, the Central line is another, Waterloo and Central. These are all matters under consideration and under discussion with the Mayor, and we will look forward to the outcome of those discussions.
My Lords, in London, Transport for London have overall responsibility for the buses, but the buses are actually owned and run by private operators, who I think do a good job. So why has the Government abandoned that model for the railways, where private operators like Chiltern, who run a first-class service from London to Birmingham, are now to be banned under their proposed legislation?
I understand the comments that the noble lord is making, and these will be subject to further discussion when we have the main rail bill coming forward. I note his comments. And I'm sure we will have the opportunity to discuss this more. We know there are significant failings on our railways, and action has to be taken. We cannot continue with the failures that we have at the present moment.
My Lords, with no disrespect to London, is my noble friend the Minister aware that there is a feeling in the north of England and Scotland that London gets a disproportionate amount of spending, particularly in transport, and that in terms of what the opposition front bench say, economic growth, it would be a greater benefit for economic growth if more money was spent in the north of England, Scotland and Wales?
As a founder member of Transport for the North, I can only agree with my noble friend's very pertinent comments, and I welcome the fact that significant discussions are happening with the regional mayors, and that we have on the table a 5-year, £5.7 billion investment to improve transport networks across the regions. I would say, however, we all recognise the contribution of London to the economy of the whole country, and we want to make sure investment in all of the regions complements the success in London and spreads wealth and prosperity around all of the regions.
Lady, accept that the expenditure on railways in Wales has been quite significant recently, but is still short of what's needed. And there's a feeling that the formula for distribution of resources doesn't adequately respond to these needs of the railway system in Wales. Could you have a look at this and discuss it with her colleagues in Cardiff?
As someone who was diverted on a journey from Cornwall to Leeds via Newport, I can only say I understand where the noble lord is coming from. And of course, this is... sorry, I didn't hear that. But of course, discussions with devolved nations are absolutely central to our overall ambition for growth across all of the regions and nations, and contributing to the economy and growth of the whole country.
The Elizabeth line in London, will the government commit itself now to supporting Crossrail 2?
I think the noble lord is well aware it would be above my pay grade to make commitments that will be subject to future discussions. We obviously have the budget coming up, the spending review, and I look forward to the discussions going forward.
My Lords,
My Lords, I'm sure the Minister, as a great advocate for Yorkshire and the Humber, will join me in advocating for the many opportunities there are in our region for train manufacture and repair, such as, for example, Doncaster in South Yorkshire, which has a long history in that respect.
Can I thank my noble friend for her comments, and I remember fondly our many discussions about achieving more investment into Yorkshire and the Humber. The truth is, our economy is grossly imbalanced. The potential and the talent that exists within those regions is immense. And this is a very important statement of intention to make sure investment and jobs can be spread around the country, and I welcome it, and particularly welcome any discussions that we have in the future about Doncaster.
My Lords, the noble lady, the Minister, was understandably cautious in her response about Crossrail 2. But can she at least assure the House that the land for it has been safeguarded for future delivery so that it remains a realistic option?
I don't have the precise answers to the noble lady's question. I'm sure we can make sure that you receive that answer, but I know the discussions are ongoing, and I'm confident that nothing will have been done to undermine those conversations.
My Lords, is it possible to also take into account that when you open up the Elizabeth line, you then open up the estate agents, and you get the spread of gentrification, and you get the spreading of poverty? Can we not do something like what was done in the inter-year wars, where some of the cheapest of housing went with the railways? Is there a way of kind of putting the thinking together rather than just treating it as transport?
Can I thank the noble lord and for his ongoing contributions to this House on poverty and the needs of people. And I think it's absolutely imperative that these schemes do benefit all of the population, offer opportunities. We know investing in rail lines brings real investment to different areas. We've seen it across London, across the country, and his concerns, I'm sure, will be absolutely paramount in the decisions that are taken going forward.
My Lords, in support of the Honourable Lord Moylan, what assessment has the Government made of the cause of London Underground unreliability, and therefore where investment can best be made?
These are discussions that happen regularly between the Mayor for London and Government, and of course we have only recently come into Government, and I'm sure those discussions will be fruitful. We know, with so much of our infrastructure, we're dependent on systems that have been brought in decades ago, and having been a leader in this field, we are, I'm afraid, subject to the fact that decay is inherent, but right at the centre of our discussions, and look forward to taking them forward.
My Lords, that concludes all questions for today.